Stanley had already left me several times to be with his childhood love, even at our own engagement banquet. And now, once again, he was about to abandon me because of a single phone call from her. For the first time, I gently grabbed his hand and pleaded with him to stay. Just until the ceremony was over, the venue was packed with friends and family, all waiting for our appearance. On stage, Stanley looked striking in a spotless white suit, standing tall and handsome, but there was no hint of joy on his face. None of the warmth an engagement should bring. His brows were furrowed, his mind clearly elsewhere, with another woman. Impatiently, Stanley loosened his tie. "My wife Tina is ill, I need to check on her. Her health has always been fragile," he said. A weak excuse, but it always worked on him. I stubbornly clung to Stanley's hand, refusing to let go. But how could I keep someone who so clearly wanted to leave? "Please be patient. I promise to make things up to you in the future." I insisted that he firmly shake my hand and walk away, as he had done countless times before, dismissing me with future promises. Little did he know that our future was no longer together. I lost my memory while chasing Stanley at the engagement banquet. The groom, who had fled a speeding car, hit me, and although I remember everyone except him, I found myself wrapped tightly like a mummy. The doctor told me I had several abrasions, but thankfully, none were serious. My parents stood beside me, tears running down their cheeks. "Stanley is incredibly irresponsible. How could he leave the wedding like that? He made us suffer tremendously," they lamented. Fortunately, nothing severe had occurred, otherwise, they would not have let me go. I looked up, staring blankly at the white ceiling, trying to remember who Stanley was so I could make sense of it. My parents' close friends, Uncle Smith and Aunt Smith, entered the room. Aunt Smith burst into tears, blaming herself for failing to properly raise her son, prompting Stanley to flee the wedding. Uncle Smith held my hand and said, "Don't worry, I'll talk to Stanley and help you vent your frustrations." Stanley, they all insisted that he was to blame for my current situation, but who was he? Why didn't I remember anything about him? As I remained silent and expressionless, my parents became increasingly concerned, asking if I was in pain or needed anything. Aunt Smith and the others continued cursing. "Stanley." I looked at Aunt Smith, who was constantly berating, and asked, "Who is this Stanley you're talking about?" My question surprised everyone in the room. My mother was terrified and called the doctor again for a brain scan. The final diagnosis was temporary amnesia caused by brain damage sustained in the accident. Hearing this, I wondered why I remembered everyone but Stanley. Maybe it was because he was no longer important to me. On the second day of my hospitalization, Stanley appeared, accompanied by the remorseful uncle and Aunt Smith, to give us some space. My parents and Aunt Smith left willingly, while Stanley walked in reluctantly, seeing me in a hospital bed. His brow furrowed with impatience, and a mocking smile appeared on his lips. "Jill, what trick are you using now to get me to stay?" Not only did he appear ghostly, but he also pretended to have amnesia. Despite his charming movie star-like appearance, I looked up at him, as did my parents. His words were unpleasant. He sneered, "You are acting like a melodramatic actress. No wonder Tina says you're the most cunning person behind everyone's back." I didn't believe it before, but now I can see clearly. "Did you know that Tina is also in the hospital? She had a heart attack while worrying about your accident. She is currently in the ICU and is in worse condition than you. She needs my help more than you do." Tina was more important to Stanley than I was. That is perfect. I figured if he didn't care about me, how could I forget him and take care of her? I suggested, but Stanley didn't seem to hear me. "What have you said?" he asked. I said, "If you're so concerned about her, go take care of her." I said, "My parents are here. There is no need for anyone else's assistance. Even if he wanted to take care of me, I would not accept it. Who would willingly allow a stranger to care for them?" "You've altered," Stanley sneered. "I'm tired of your constant complaints. It's fine to be angry, but repeating it endlessly is excessive." I didn't understand what he meant. How could someone I barely remembered suddenly be so important? Stanley's expression softened as he noted my silence. He sat on my bed and tried to hold my hand. When our skin touched, I recoiled as if I had been shocked by an electric current. His touch was excruciatingly uncomfortable. "What are you doing now? Please do not touch me." Stanley's face darkened. "Gil, I've been showing you respect, but now you won't let me feel your hand. The next step is to call off the wedding." I stared at Stanley, puzzled. According to my parents, Stanley left before the ceremony began, so we never officially got engaged. We never got engaged, so there was no reason to break up. I had completely forgotten him and considered him a stranger. Stanley's demeanor became increasingly unpleasant. After my comments, he looked deeply into my eyes, looking for any signs of deception, but I didn't remember him and didn't care. What could you see? I spoke confidently, meeting his gaze. Stanley gave up inside and admitted, "Darling, I know I was wrong. I should not have ignored your feelings by leaving during the engagement banquet. I also know you're pretending to have amnesia to make me feel guilty and sad, but what can I do? Tina has no one else except me. Her health is poor, and if she becomes ill, who will care for her? Do you want me to disregard someone's life for our engagement? Can we be happy in the future if something serious were to happen in our relationship?" Listening to Stanley's resolute words made me laugh. Even though I didn't remember him or what happened between us, I despised him deeply. He appeared to manipulate situations to his advantage. What is this about? Fearing that the engagement ceremony could endanger someone's life. Is he a doctor? Will Tina's illness disappear if he leaves? Can't he call for emergency help? Is he more efficient than an ambulance? Stanley didn't notice my change in emotions and assumed he had persuaded me. He proceeded, "Darling, I know you aren't selfish. You will forgive me this time. Once you've recovered, we'll hold an even grander engagement ceremony." His words made me feel ill. Another engagement ceremony, how confident he was that I would agree. I shake my head. No, it's not happening. I don't want to continue entangling myself with a man whose mind is so cloudy. Stanley froze. "What have you said?" I stared at him. Every word is deliberate. "No, I don't know you, and I don't want to continue our interaction." Stanley's face darkened more as he stood up. I was disappointed, Gil. I always thought you were an open-minded girl, which is why I chose to be with you wholeheartedly. But I didn't expect you to be so jealous and bitter. What is your grudge against Tina? She has been sick since she was a child, and I am responsible for her care. You knew this from the beginning of our relationship, didn't you? He had this attitude since the beginning. Why did I tolerate it? What if my hand were not hurting? I might have slapped my former foolish self. Stanley continued, "Whether you're pretending to have amnesia or using the accident to your advantage, I can't ignore Tina. I am leaving now. Tina could have an emergency at any time. Think things through and stop being stubborn. I'll come back and find you." With that, Stanley turned to leave. I overheard Stanley's parents and him having another heated argument at the door. Aunt Smith and the others wanted Stanley to take care of me, but he insisted on looking after Tina. I pulled the blanket over myself and hid inside. I couldn't stand the bothersome noises outside, especially since my leg hurt. All I wanted to do was visit Aunt Smith and the others, and Stanley could look after Tina if he wanted to. I did not require his assistance. The thought of a stranger taking care of me made me uneasy. One day, I dozed off, and when I awoke, my mother was concerned about my lethargic state. She sighed and admitted, "I'm not sure what happened to Stanley this time. He has transformed into this." Just then, Aunt Smith had urged him to stay and care for you. But he refused, preferring to visit the Jones family's illegitimate child. Remember the year you had a high fever and remained unconscious for 3 days and nights? Your father and I were both on business trips abroad. Nonetheless, Stanley never left your side, diligently caring for you. I looked at the chandelier and said casually, "Oh, that happened too." My mother nodded, acknowledging Stanley's kindness to me. After learning about this, I hired a top-notch nurse to care for you, but Stanley insisted on taking care of you himself. After you recovered, he became ill. Isn't he so foolish? When we are sick, our family becomes wealthy and influential. A single phone call summons a team of private doctors and elite nurses to deliver the best possible care. Why did he put himself through this? Seeing me nod, my mother exclaimed with surprise, "Jill, did you forget about Stanley? You can't remember anything." I looked at her with concern, and she thought I was acting. In truth, I remembered everyone but Stanley. This amnesia was quite peculiar. I turned to face my mother and said, "Mom, I'm serious. I don't recall Stanley at all. He is a stranger to me. I just met him, and I find him both arrogant and unintelligent. Please refrain from mentioning him around me anymore." My mother sighed and agreed. "Okay, if you don't want to talk about him, I won't say it, but Gil, you need to take care of yourself and recover soon." I responded, of course, that I needed to improve. I struggle to care for someone who isn't related to me. That would be unfair. My injury appeared severe, but it wasn't dangerous. After 4 days in the hospital, the doctor released me. That day, I unexpectedly ran into Stanley and Tina. I had not expected to see them at the same hospital. Tina wore a patient gown and was gently supported by Stanley, who appeared very attentive and almost dependent on him. It was strange, no matter how I looked at it. When they noticed me, they both displayed a brief moment of awkwardness. Unlike Stanley, I recognized Tina as the Jones family's illegitimate daughter. When she was 3 years old, her biological mother died, and the Jones family adopted her. However, with so many daughters, she was not valued highly in my memory. She was quiet and departed. There was not much of an impression. Reflecting on this, I realized that I wasn't familiar with them, so there was no need for a greeting. I started to walk past them, but after a few steps, a surprised voice called out from behind me. "Jill, how dare you ignore me?" I turned around, puzzled. "Are we close? Why should I acknowledge you?" Stanley was left speechless and frustrated by my response. He clenched his teeth and glared at me, making me appear like an unfeeling woman. Stanley opened his mouth to speak, but Tina began coughing violently. Stanley became anxious and rushed to her side, observing their peaceful interaction with indescribable tenderness. I realized they no longer had time for me. I lifted my foot to leave, but a voice interrupted me. It was Tina Gee. "I apologize," Tina said, clutching her chest. "I understand that you and Stanley haven't gotten engaged because of my poor health, but I don't have any other friends. Please do not blame Stanley. If you have to blame someone, blame me. I am truly despicable. If you want to hit or scold me, go ahead. But please don't take Stanley away from me. He is my only friend. If he ignores me, I'm not sure how I'll survive." Tina's life in the Jones family became increasingly complex as she grew older, which explains why she was so attached to Stanley, the heir of the Smith family. I opened my mouth to reassure her that I would not take Stanley away from her, and I wished them a lifetime of happiness together. But before I could finish, Stanley interrupted Tina. "Nobody can take me away from you," he said. Then she looked at me with a warning. "Not even you, Jill." Tina's expression brightened, revealing a hint of triumph as she looked at me. But was there anything to celebrate or provoke? I hardly remembered Stanley or what he did. I met Tina's gaze directly. I paused for a moment. "We're friends, so it's natural for us to support one another. Do not worry, I will not interfere with you and Stanley. You need to rest, so let him take care of you." Tina's face lit up with joy as she looked at Stanley. But Stanley didn't appear to be as happy. He bit his lip in frustration as he stared at me, seemingly angry at my generosity. Wasn't it his wish that I stop caring? As Stanley's demeanor deteriorated, Tina said, "Jill, I knew you were still blaming me and saying hurtful things. Please forgive me." Her words caused Stanley to realize something. He looked at me as if he could see through me, saying, "Jill, you've gone too far. No matter how jealous or resentful you are, there is a limit. Don't you realize Tina is a patient who cannot handle additional stress? Please leave us alone." I couldn't help but find it amusing when Stanley said he supported Tina and walked away while they were going. Stanley had just refused to let me go, and now he wanted me to. "But, Stanley, I'm not a dog you can summon after running behind you," I thought to myself as I left, determined never to see him again. I had a great time while recovering at home. I ate endless snacks and watched countless TV shows and movies. When I was bored, I played some online games. After my health improved slightly, my parents arranged for me to travel abroad for further treatment. I chose an island nation to enjoy the sun and the beaches. Even after my skin had turned a deep bronze, I still felt restless, so I returned home with a lingering sense of joy. When I arrived, my parents had prepared a special welcome feast. Aunt and Uncle Smith were also present, apologizing and expressing their regrets. I recognized their intentions. Over the years, our family has supported many of the Smiths' projects. They were concerned that if I became angry with Stanley, it would strain our family's financial ties. However, I don't mix personal and professional issues, and I can't even remember who Stanley is. How could I be upset with anyone? I do not recall raising my glass. I reassured Uncle Smith. There will be no issues with cooperation between our families. Uncle Smith seemed relieved. "What about Stanley? Have you not contacted him yet?" I explained. "I can tell he regrets it now, but could you please give him another chance?" "He regrets it." Uncle Smith shakes his head. "No, I just saw Stanley and Tina's social media post where he was making porridge for her. Watching him cook almost moved me." I smiled and said, "You know, I have amnesia and have forgotten who Stanley is. You don't have to mention him to me anymore." After speaking, Uncle Smith's face became pale and defeated. "I understand, Gil. It is Stanley's misfortune. He does not deserve you." After the welcoming feast, I thought I'd never see Stanley again. However, that night I received a call from him. "Jill, I gave you a month of cold treatment to reflect, but how can you still act like this? What did you mean by what you told my parents today? Are you upset because I didn't attend your welcome feast?" I replied correctly. Tina had a stomachache and suddenly craved the millet porridge I had prepared for her, so that I couldn't make it for her. Her heart condition is delicate, and she requires proper care. Stanley continued. "Can you please stop being so petty? Call my parents right away and explain yourself. If you genuinely intend to cut me off, don't blame me for never speaking with you again. Never talk to me again." "Huh, who cares? I figured, well, never speak to me again. Jill, I ended the call, blocking Stanley's enraged voice. Who has the patience to listen to his nonsense? He isn't important to me. He intentionally ignored me for a month to force me to reflect on myself. Why is he so confident? I immediately blocked him. I don't want this jerk to contaminate my contact list. When I returned, I didn't immediately resume working at my family's business. My parents were understandably concerned about my recent accident and insisted that I stay at home to continue my recovery for a while. Despite my restlessness and boredom, I decided to contact my best friend Lucy, and she arrived in her flashy Lamborghini shortly after. Well, gee, you have entirely forgotten about Stanley. Lucy contacted me and mentioned that I was in a relationship. I replied, what do you mean? Lucy laughed. Have you truly forgotten him? According to Lucy, I discovered the reality after I began dating Stanley. He thought my old friends lacked ambition and prohibited me from seeing them. As a result, I had not communicated with them for 3 years. This revelation stunned me. Had I been enchanted? Despite coming from wealthy families, Lucy and her friends were active in their businesses. Where was the alleged lack of ambition? Observing my confusion, Lucy defended me, claiming it was better that I had moved on. She had always believed that Stanley and I would not last. Stanley's illegitimate daughter from the Jones family realized she couldn't progress on her own, so she clung to him for support. Unfortunately, Stanley fell for her and lacked firm boundaries. Because they were so inseparable, Lucy advised me to keep them together. I nodded. I agree. You're correct. I have already allowed them to be together. Lucy tapped the passenger seat and hopped in. I am taking you to our class reunion. I wasn't very enthusiastic. A class reunion. What makes that so exciting? Lucy blinked and laughed. Of course, it's enjoyable. I've heard Tyler, the campus heartthrob, will be there. He's returned from abroad. Tyler, weren't you supposed to settle overseas? I asked. He chose to return. Lucy added, and since I didn't respond, he's also here. By the way, he's still regarded as the most attractive guy at our school, alongside Stanley. Did you forget about Stanley? I smiled. I have not forgotten. How could I? He was the most prominent figure in the library. His presence is unforgettable. Tyler was the most popular debater among college girls. Not only is he handsome, but he is also brilliant and hardworking. He excelled academically, accomplished incredible athletic feats, and possessed a talent for the arts, playing the piano beautifully. He was like an unreachable flower on a high peak, admired from a distance. After graduation, he went abroad to further his education, leaving many female alums heartbroken. I never thought I'd see him again after all these years. Hearing he's arrived makes me eager to see how much he's grown. Let's go. The class reunion was far larger than I had expected. With almost all of the alums present, many classmates had achieved significant success, and someone had even reserved a 5-star hotel for the occasion. Lucy took my hand and hurried inside. Come on, Tyler will be performing on the piano. Later, she drew me along, but then stopped. I looked up puzzled. What is wrong? Lucy forced a laugh. Ah, nothing. I hadn't expected Stanley to arrive, and he brought Tina with him. Sure enough, I noticed Stanley and Tina looking up at him from near the stage. Lucy explained that today, in addition to inviting Tyler to play the piano, they asked Stanley to perform a solo dance. This reunion is quite interesting, as it brings together the two former heartthrobs. As the music began, Stanley danced gracefully, enthralling everyone on stage. Following his performance, the audience erupted in applause. Lucy commented that these people know how to celebrate. They specifically invited Stanley to begin with a dance, which has incredibly energized the atmosphere. Stanley's performance was not bad. I admitted that he has questionable taste. After Tyler's solo dance, Lucy and I looked for him but couldn't find him. We decided to find a table and sit down for dinner. However, before we could, we ran into Stanley and Tina, who were closely following him. Stanley noticed me. His eyes lit up. Gil, have you come to find me? I knew you could not forget about me. He responded. Tina stood behind Stanley, giving me a guarded expression. I felt incredibly bored. Why are these individuals so self-absorbed? I thought to myself as I turned away coldly. I don't know you, so why should I see you? I came to see him. I pointed to Tyler on stage, his slender fingers dancing across the piano. The room was filled with keys and beautiful music. After 5 years I saw Tyler again. He was as excellent, elegant, and noble as I had hoped. Jill, why are you still so stubborn with me? You don't even know Tyler well enough to use him as a reason to confront me. Stanley spoke, biting his lip and looking at me with resentment. I am not being stubborn. I replied, Stanley, we don't know each other, and I hope you won't bother me anymore. Lucy interjected. Exactly. Stop clinging to my best friend. Stanley's expression darkened as he realized he didn't even know her. Jill, are you seriously going to embarrass me like this? I was incorrect about the engagement banquet, and I have already apologized. Why are you still holding on to it? Tina moved forward, taking Stanley's hand and standing protectively in front of him. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I made a mistake by getting in your way and making you the villain. You can punish me any way you want, but please stop harassing Stanley. I could not take it anymore. I already told you that I haven't bothered him because I don't know him. You, too, can do whatever you want. Just stay away from me and cause no problems. My words irritated Stanley. Fine. Great. Gil, you are something. If you don't know who I am, you can't tell me. I do not know you either. It's better if you never look for me again, so I don't have to look down on you. He grabbed Tina's hand and walked away. Lucy watched them leave, clicking her tongue in disbelief. Stanley probably assumed you were disagreeing, Gil. Perhaps he never believed. You forgot about him. I shrugged as I looked at Tyler, who stood out in the crowd. Who cares? Who wants to deal with him? Let him think what he wants. He has nothing to do with me now. The class reunion seemed like a mere formality. After Tyler finished his performance, the event lost its appeal to me as an elite. Several people surrounded Tyler. Lucy nudged me and asked if I wanted to come over and say hi. I shake my head. We are not even close. How could I casually approach Tyler? I'm just an outsider admiring the almost godlike figure from a distance. Speaking to him or attempting to connect was something I had never imagined. Lucy understood and proceeded to mingle with her familiar classmates. I sat quietly in a corner, sipping wine nearby. Stanley sat with Tina, seemingly trying to put on a show for me. His cheerful laughter reached my ears once more, and I felt compelled to leave. I should not have come today. It was too dull. As I was about to stand up, a pleasant voice came from above. Can I sit here? The voice sounded slightly familiar. I looked up and saw Tyler smiling down at me. His typically cold demeanor softened. I was speechless at the time, and I hadn't expected Tyler to approach me and strike up a conversation. Gil, why didn't you come over and say hello earlier? Have you forgotten about me? He asked. I quickly shook my head. Who would forget the name of someone as remarkable as Tyler? I just hadn't realized you knew my name. Tyler smiled gracefully. Of course I recognize you, Gil. We were both in the economics department and frequently encountered each other at the library. Tyler was a frequent visitor to the library at that time. Yes, I saw you often. You always sat close to me, but you seemed so distant. I never dared to say hello. I noticed you enjoyed reading novels, particularly detective stories by Edgar Allan Poe. Have you become Sherlock Holmes? Tyler teased me, evoking memories of my teenage years. It was true that I enjoyed reading detective novels and analyzing the complexities of the cases. I assumed it was just a hobby, but it turned out he had noticed me without realizing I felt our distance was closing significantly. He was no longer an untouchable figure, but rather a handsome prince sitting beside me in the library. Although I didn't enjoy going to the library, Tyler's persistence motivated me. Seeing how dedicated he was inspired me to make the most of my own time and strive for excellence as well. Shared memories brought us together. I liked you back then. I admitted that you were very serious and diligent. Tyler looked at me thoughtfully. Jill, I wanted you. I couldn't help but smile as I realized I should be expressing my feelings to him. Tyler was the most serious and hardworking person in the whole library. Without seeing him regularly, I doubt I would have been able to maintain my discipline. I thought to myself, you're so remarkable, and you keep pushing yourself. Tyler was overjoyed when I shared my thoughts. Jill, I see how you feel. I thought the same thing. I saw you coming in every day and couldn't afford to slack off. Who would have thought we were encouraging each other? In that moment, we shared a knowing laugh, realizing we'd been inspiring each other all along. It seemed like a strange twist of fate. Tyler exclaimed, and I turned to see Stanley standing behind him, his expression stern and his empty wine glass in hand. Stanley had intentionally spilled red wine on Tyler, and I was furious. Stanley, what are you doing? Stanley's eyes flashed red. Gil, I was mistaken. Please come back with me. I am not going to leave you for anyone else. I glared at Stanley coldly. You should apologize to Tyler, not me. How could you spill wine on someone else? Stanley gritted his teeth and refused to apologize. Tyler, are you aware that Jill is my fiancé? What do you mean by getting so close to him? Do you have no shame? Tyler responded gracefully by standing up and casually patting the wine stain on his clothes. Fiancé means we aren't married yet, so that I can pursue my goals. Jill. Stanley exploded with rage, reaching out to slap Tyler's face. I quickly grabbed his hand and looked at him with disgust. Stanley, have you lost your mind? I do not know you. I am not your fiancé, and we have never been engaged. Please, stop bothering me. I have no feelings for you, and you have left a negative impression on me. Stanley appeared to realize the truth. His body trembled as if he realized my amnesia was real and he was about to lose me forever. Unable to take the blow, Stanley quickly left the scene. Tina, who had been following him, attempted to support him, but he pushed her away. Undaunted, she continued to follow. Curious eyes turned to Tyler and me, who didn't want to be treated as a spectacle. I took the initiative and asked Tyler, "Do you want me to take you back to the hotel?" Tyler smiled warmly. "I would be delighted." I dropped him off at the hotel's entrance. He stayed in the car but gave me a serious look. "Jill, what I said earlier was sincere." I was taken aback. "What do you mean?" Tyler's expression softened. He then gave me a firm look. "I want to pursue you, Gil. I like you. Coming back today reminded me that the youthful excitement is still present. I hope you'll let me find you." Looking into his eyes, I saw a reflection of myself. It felt as if he only saw me. I should give this a try. I nodded almost instinctively, his eyes sparkling like morning stars as he leaned in and gently kissed my cheek. Our skin touched, and my heart skipped a beat. "Jill, forgive me. I'm so happy. Please keep your phone nearby, as I will be in touch with you from now on." Tyler is a true man of action. In the days that followed, he planned numerous activities for us. Morning breakfasts, lunch dates, good-night moments in the evenings. Every small romantic gesture between a couple unfolded between us, and I had never had such experiences before. For the first time, I felt the genuine joy of being cherished and loved unconditionally. Tyler was easy to fall in love with. He deserved to be loved, especially as the lucky one he had chosen. I could not resist his affectionate embrace. Soon after, I introduced him to my parents. They adored. Tyler's smiles spread quickly across their faces as they warmly welcomed him throughout the meal. "Tyler, the beef is delicious. Try it." They served prawns and red wine from his uncle's collection. Tyler accepted all of the food. Gracefully, his smile never faded. After the meal, I took Tyler for a walk outside the villa, holding his hand. "Did my parents' enthusiasm blow you away earlier?" Tyler shakes his head. "Not at all. I loved it. Gil, this feels like home. Our parents will get along. It may be time to arrange a meeting between them." I was about to respond when Tyler appeared hesitant. I loved seeing him agitated, so I couldn't help but kiss him. The atmosphere was beautiful and intoxicating, but trouble always seemed to find a way. A surprised voice called out from the other side. "Are you two together? Do you feel no shame?" "Tyler." I turned to meet Stanley's resentful gaze. My eyebrows furrow. "What exactly are you shouting about? Who are you, and how dare you come here to insult us?" "My boyfriend, Stanley," stumbled briefly before erupting. "I'm Stanley, your fiancé. How could you have forgotten about me? How can you let a man come between us?" I scoffed. "Who says I can't forget about you?" I warned Stanley. "Please do not disturb my life any longer. Tyler isn't just any man. He's my beloved." I gripped Tyler's hand tightly, as if I were holding the entire world. Stanley suddenly laughed maliciously, staring intently at our joined hands. "Jill, you're something else. I hope you don't remember me and have no regrets." I smiled calmly. "Of course I will have no regrets. Tyler and I are getting engaged next month. If you don't mind, you're welcome to attend." Stanley's face paled as he spoke with determination. "Congratulations in advance to both of you, but I may be unable to attend because I am also getting engaged to Tina." "Oh well, congratulations to you too," I responded. Stanley seemed offended by my words and stumbled for a moment before walking away. I was not lying. I truly wanted to start a family with Tyler on a beautiful sunny day. We made our engagement official. Tyler's parents returned from their trip abroad, as he had predicted, and both sets of parents got along perfectly. During the engagement ceremony, Tyler approached me in a crisp white suit. We exchanged our vows and he clutched my hand tightly, refusing to let go. During the ceremony, I noticed Stanley's parents watching with interest. I asked Lucy, who was standing beside me. "Didn't Stanley mention that he was getting engaged today? Why aren't his parents present?" Lucy scoffed. "Stanley is out of his mind. I'm not sure what he sees in that woman. What can she do other than pretend to be sick all the time? She is simply a discarded child from the Jones family. Stanley insisted on marrying her, and now the Smiths have kicked him out." "Well, the Smith family includes more than just him. Their second son is studying abroad and will be returning soon." I nodded in agreement, and that's how it is. Everyone in the Smith family appears to be living together, except for Stanley. Tina, that cunning and calculating woman, is not the best choice for a daughter-in-law. I'm not sure how a good family like the Smiths could raise someone as foolish as Stanley, but that's not my concern. After all, I have a handsome man by my side, and I don't have time to worry about strangers. We got married 3 months after being engaged. Stanley appeared to be trying to keep up with us, as he was also married on the same day. Lucy informed me of everything, but I paid little attention to it. After our wedding, we took a month-long vacation in the Maldives. Tyler and I went abroad again after our vacation ended. Tyler excelled at his job, and after consulting with both of our families, we decided to establish a branch of our company overseas to attract foreign business. As a result, we've been living overseas ever since. 3 years later, when we returned to our home country, we held our precious little girl in our arms. Lucy rushed over immediately. "Let me see my niece, she's adorable," Lucy exclaimed, offering her a large golden ingot as a gift. Though tacky, it was heartfelt. When Tyler took our child to play, Lucy leaned in close and whispered, "You know what? Stanley and Tina divorced." I was surprised and asked if Tina had agreed to divorce him. Lucy chuckled. "That woman is highly materialistic. She always assumed the Smith family's decision to kick Stanley out was a joke, and that once they had calmed down, they would let him back in. But they were serious. Stanley lost his entire stake in the company. His shares had been cancelled, and he couldn't access a single penny. He needed to work to cover his living expenses. Tina only lasted a year before she had had enough and filed for divorce. During the divorce, Stanley nearly went insane, claiming he had lost his guilt to Tina. Why wouldn't she want him? However, Tina stated that if she weren't the eldest son's wife of the Smith family, she wouldn't bother with him. "He is nothing," she said. I laughed. "That is her true nature." Lucy nodded. "Yes. That woman has always been very materialistic. It's just that Stanley is too gullible to see through it. Mrs. Jones is such a ruthless woman, and she couldn't even get rid of her. Stanley is too naive." "What happened to Stanley after their divorce?" I inquired curiously. Lucy shakes her head. "Stanley's heart was deeply broken. He crashed into Tina while driving his car on the day they finalized their divorce." I gasped. "Has she died?" "No. Fortunately, she did not, but she was left disabled, with both legs paralyzed." "That's tragic." I said she wanted to move up the social ladder, but she failed and ended up in this situation. "So what about Stanley?" Lucy clicked her tongue. "He intentionally harmed her while driving under the influence. He is done for being charged with intentional injury and DUI and sentenced to 10 years in prison." The Smith family was furious. They said they'd disown him. Can you believe it? Disgraceful. That was the word they all used. Once the star everyone adored, the college crush we all secretly swooned over. And now, just another cautionary tale whispered behind closed doors. Honestly, I never really knew him. To me, he's just a ghost from someone else's memories. A stranger who chose his own path, for better or worse. Later that night, after I lulled our sweet daughter to sleep, I turned over and tucked myself into Tyler's warm embrace. He shifted, just a little, like he wasn't sure if he should hold me so close. "Don't you think our daughter needs you more than I do right now?" he teased, his voice soft in the dark. I laughed and nudged closer, resting my head on his chest. "I love that you're still shy with me. It's just a hug, Tyler, nothing more." He chuckled too, the sound rumbling deep in his chest. "What did you and Lucy chat about today?" he asked, brushing a strand of hair from my face. I snuggled closer, soaking in the warmth of the moment. I told her how lucky I am to have you. How choosing you was the best thing I ever did. Tyler's breath caught just a little. "I can't imagine what kind of mess my life would have been if I'd chosen anyone else," he murmured, voice tender and raw. "I'm grateful every day that I chose you." He pulled me tighter, his lips brushing my hair as he whispered, "Wife." And right there, wrapped up in Tyler's arms, I knew, some choices are worth everything. Some people are worth everything. If this story warmed your heart, don't let it end here. Subscribe for more. Share this video with someone who believes in love worth choosing, and tell me in the comments, who would you choose, again and again? I'm waiting to read your stories.